Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to the podcast as well. Today we're going to have a good video, a long video, but a good video. And we're going to have two guests with us, Jacob and Tino. So stay tuned for after the intro and we'll get started. Bye.
Welcome to the Movie Madness podcast with your hosts, Nicole and Mike.
All right, it's recording. Okay, guys. So today we're going to talk about the Marvel universe. We're going to talk about phase 1. So that's Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, and then Avengers. So we're going to talk about like all of them kind of combined. So
Nice.
let's start
Combined. Okay.
combined. Let's talk about the storylines. So like how the setup was to get to the Avengers.
Okay.
Yeah, so how do you like storylines?
Well, you have to first understand that it's an entirely different thing that they did, really, Marvel, because Marvel Studios, they wanted to sort of adapt the comics into like a movie storytelling format, and they wanted to give every hero, like how every hero had their own comic, their own movie, and combine that into a story, like the Avengers were a comic book in the 60s and 70s. It became a movie, and so they wanted to create separate storylines that could interweave, really, and come together and come across each other. Like a lot of different paths come across each other, as we see in later movies.
Yeah, I agree. Babe, what do you have to say? Is he frozen?
Yeah, I have to say that. No, I'm not.
Okay,
Hello.
you're good. You're good.
Okay.
What's up,
Yeah,
handsome?
I just want to say that. I just want to say that Jacob should keep the beard.
Oh.
That's not all.
I love you. I miss you, buddy.
I really enjoyed phase 1. I love you too. I really want to say that phase 1 was really a setup. Like it was done. It was executed really well, but it wasn't refined yet. I think that came into phase 2, but as a phase 1, um, they didn't really get the tone yet. I think they nailed the tone with Iron Man because it felt very different. They were still trying to figure out where they wanted to go with it. Iron Man was very good in terms of the type of story they were telling, the type of development he went through. Hulk was very different though. Hulk, I felt like it's definitely not up to standard with the rest, but because it's not, there is no character development. It's very plot focused. But everything else after that, every other movie was very character focused. They were mainly focusing on the characters to set them up for the Avengers, and that's what I love about it.
I agree. Phase 1, I want to say, was like, I agree with Mike. Phase 1 was really, that was more of a stepping off point, really, for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This universe that we're specifically talking about, like the movies that are phase 1, which is Iron Man 1 and 2, Incredible Hulk, Captain America, the First Avenger, Thor, and then the Avengers. That's really just a stepping off point, really, for the entire franchise, because that they didn't really expect themselves to be able to make Avengers, the first Avengers movie, what it was, until they were able to make that movie and see what it became after, with all the fans loving it, and just how popular that movie made it. Because once the first Avengers movie was made, like once that movie came out, that really became a milestone in terms of like what like movies can do with their stories. Because now that we saw all these stories coming together, like setting up like future plots and movies. We saw how all these stories can just be interconnected, and character developments and just plot lines evolved in all these different ways. And as we saw, you know, it lead up to the second Avengers, and then what we saw was Civil War, and how we saw characters go off in different places. As Mike knows exactly what I'm talking about, right, Tino? Yeah, I think you guys know where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
And now we have TV shows too, which is setting up even more future stuff. So
That's true. Although I have been able to watch WandaVision because I don't have the service it's on, but it looks super good. It looks really, really different.
I'm
Like,
pissed off, Mike. Don't get him
Yeah.
started.
Phase one. Phase one.
oh yeah. No, phase one was really kind of revolutionary, like as far as the entire like superhero genre goes. Obviously, I mean, I really like how they started with Iron Man. You know, like they didn't have to, but they did, because I feel like out of all the Avengers, he is one person that has all the means and all the resources of actually getting everyone together, and he is kind of like the heart of the Avengers. Not so much the leader. I feel like Captain America definitely is more of a leader. He definitely takes charge more. But yeah, like Iron Man definitely has the most like connections and the most resources, and definitely the most like uh, definitely the most money. So, you know, and I remember watching Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie, and thinking to myself, man, it would be really cool if they made movies for all the heroes. And sure enough, like the Hulk movie came out, and then the after credit scene happens, and um, Tony Stark goes up to Bruce Banner in the bar, and he's like, "Yo, I got a project. We got a thing happening soon." And it's and I was like, "Whoa, oh my God, they're actually gonna do it." And like it took like 10 years, but they eventually went through all of them and landed on the Avengers. And yeah,
yeah.
um, it was really exciting to see them all coming out like in sequence, and because like we all knew what they were leading up to at that point.
And what was really cool about phase one was that like it gave the heroes like Thor and Captain America and Iron Man actually really their own movies. We'd already seen the Hulk be made into movies a couple of times in the 70s with Lou Ferrigno. They had a lot of the TV movies and the show, and then we had that version with Eric Bana in 2003,
That's a
and
good
then we
movie.
had it was a good movie. I actually enjoyed that movie a lot, but when you
The
look
girl
back at
pissed
it
me off.
now, it was so different. But like this version really like we saw one that we could accept that had like elements of the comics and other movies put together. But for Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America, phase one was really like their opportunity to get their own movies, and it solidified just what we saw these characters as really in our heads. Like when we read a comic, we're imagining it happening like it's a movie, because you know we love just seeing it happen, and that's the imagination of it. But for them to bring those characters to life like that in those movies, that then set up sequels upon sequels, and now we're seeing just comic book stories of all these different characters now being adapted. Like we've had Civil War, we've had Age of Ultron, we've had we had the Extremis storylines in Iron Man 3. And yeah, just tons of more. And I love Jon Favreau's direction of Iron Man 1, particularly because just how he set up Iron Man, like how they created the character development of each character, specifically Tony, Pepper, and Obadiah Stane. Like they like they really like recreated the characters, I want to say, because Robert Downey Jr., he was born to play that role, but they had to really
Yeah.
recreate Tony Stark. Like they had to really find, you know, that genius billionaire playboy philanthropist personality in Robert Downey Jr. And you could just see him flesh out the character like that. Like he wasn't playing Tony Stark; he was being Tony Stark. That's what Robert Downey Jr. really is. And
I
just
agree.
how John Favreau directed that movie, you can get into camera angles and just like composition and all that, and how like he tried to simulate like how the shots of a comic book panel could look like as a shot frame in a movie, but just like his vision for how the story was told, how the emotion was delivered, and just how each character came across their obstacles, specifically Tony, with the arc reactor and the suit and accepting his role as an industrialist. They really redefined the character of Tony Stark, and then setting up him as Iron Man that we know now from the movies, because now we only know Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's just
100% true.
I think it's just really
I
interesting
really
how they did that.
He took the role and made it its own, and now every time you see Robert Downey Jr., you're like, oh, Tony.
They're very
Yeah,
similar
Like,
people.
you can't. Yeah, you just call him Tony Stark. So he did an amazing performance as Tony Stark, but just how great his performance is, I think, overshadows how great the other performances are. Like Chris Hemsworth's performance as Thor was. I think it was amazing. I think it was amazing because he's not known for his raw acting prowess, but they just picked a role that was just good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Every character,
Yeah.
I think, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe was perfectly cast. Like
I think so too.
every
Yeah, I think
actor,
so.
every actor like was perfectly selected for each role, and they just knew how to take the character right out of the comic book. Really,
I
Uh-oh.
I feel mixed about Mark Ruffalo.
well, yeah. Wait, Mark
'Cause-
Ruffalo, really?
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo is Hulk.
But he's
'Cause
like a lovable teddy bear. Like, come on.
exactly. Yes, I know. But if you had a ticking time bomb inside of you, you wouldn't look that well put together.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's why I prefer Edward Norton's Hulk a little more, just his Bruce Banner a little more, because he looks more unsure. He looks more like
He did look troubled more.
he looked
Edward
troubled.
Edward
Yes.
Norton had a more troubled like presence as Bruce Banner than Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo just looks like he was told he got a nice haircut and didn't realize it until like 5 seconds later.
Yeah.
It's so hard to picture Edward Norton in the Avengers, though.
Yes,
You know
it
what I
is.
mean?
Yeah.
It is.
It
But
could have been him. But yeah, like I can't even like envision that now because I'm so used to Mark Ruffalo.
you could put a deep fake on Mark Ruffalo.
That's true. You could do that with anyone now.
Yeah, you can do it with anyone, but
I really like
it's
the direction
just-
they went with
yeah.
Thor too. Like,
Mhm.
because I was telling Nicole before we started that Ragnarok is actually my favorite Marvel movie, and because in the first Thor movie it was like, oh, Thor, he's god of thunder and god of lightning, and like he was serious and he like played the part of a god, and then as the movies progressed, like he got more and more like silly and goofy, and I really liked how they did that.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Thor movie I think is very underrated, like the first Thor movie, because like it characterizes Thor in so well. I think, and it's my favorite Thor movie in terms of all the Thor movies. It's my favorite Thor movie because he goes through a lot, which we'll get to Ragnarok I'll get to Ragnarok when we talk about Phase 3, but in terms of Thor, the first one, I think it was so well put together. It did like a lot, and it pulled it off well. It did the fish out of water comedy well. It did the grandiose medieval vibe really well.
Mhm.
Like you really buy into, oh, this is a god. You look up to him, you're like, wow, this is like really a god. But I think they went a little too goofy with Ragnarok. It was very funny, but I think they went a little too goofy. But I'm not gonna get too deep into that. I just think Thor 1 was the best one.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ellie?
So did you two watch the whole like marathon together? Like you guys like how did you watch the marathon exactly?
Like every single movie?
Yeah, like how did you
I
marathon watch the whole thing?
I powered through it during my
Like
quarantine. Like I watched it in chronological order.
did you do like one movie a day, two movies a day, or
3
like
movies a day.
wow. Oh,
Wow.
so you did oh, so you were able to watch all movies basically in 1 week. Like
Yeah.
22
I
movies. That's like 8 days really.
I went
Yeah.
in like yeah, I went hard.
I,
I
Are
was
I have
they
mad respect for you. I have mad respect for you.
are they on Disney Plus?
Yeah, every single one.
They are.
Oh, okay.
Except the Spider-Man movies, right? Because they're
Yeah,
owned by
except them.
Sony.
Sadly,
Yeah,
not them.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
And the Hulk's
Yeah,
not on it either.
Sony is pretty annoying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the Hulk's not on it either. I had to find it another way. But let's talk about characters.
Okay. Where do you want to start?
So we already kind of did Iron Man. So let's talk about my favorite human, Captain America.
Man.
America's ass.
America's ass. So
His ass is America's ass.
how do you like him as a character?
I love Captain America, and I think Chris Evans' performance is just spot on. Chris Evans is not only like the most perfectly cast Captain America I think we will ever see, but like they really created like a character that had a pure soul. Like they really try to, they try to tell a story of like a
Yeah.
kid that just wanted to do good, and you know he was never given a chance because of his scrawny appearance. Like it was very old school how they try to tell Captain America how things like were like socially like that. Like
Mhm.
if you were like physically like weak like that, you weren't like considered or able to do like service in the military. And
Mhm.
to be given a chance to get a super soldier serum injected in you, that's like the story like fantasy that we know Marvel for. And I love how they told his story as like someone that kept his he kept his like qualities, he kept his honorable characteristics about himself.
Yeah, he didn't
Like
change.
he never really changed. Like he never became a dick or an asshole really after you know after getting a super soldier serum and becoming a buff hunk,
Yeah.
if you know what I'm
Um,
saying.
we might have to hop back on. We have 8 minutes left. All right, we're recording again. So, what were you saying? Whoever was saying about Captain America?
Oh yeah, I was saying that yeah, I liked the story that they tried to tell of someone how after he got the super soldier serum, he kept his qualities, and even in the future for him, which was the present day. Like this is like I liked how they in the Winter Soldier, they really told the story of him being a man out of his time specifically, because he's in a new world. He's in what is
Phase
us,
one.
the present day. He is his future. Like it's a totally different world.
Phase
Everyone
one.
he knew is gone, and
Phase one.
he didn't have Peggy. He didn't have his friends. He didn't know Bucky the same way he used to, and just how they saw they try to show him dealing with that. Like it was just such a unique story in how they told it.
It was.
What do you say,
Yeah.
The Phase 1.
Oh no, yeah, I got off into Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I was talking about Captain America though. Like I like how they told his story.
Yeah,
Continuing.
he has a cool arc.
Yeah.
Like, well, I guess actually lack thereof, like you were saying, because
He has a flat arc.
yeah, he starts
Like
off
his
as a
arc,
really
that's the thing though, like about Captain America. His arc really, he doesn't have much of a story build up in the first like phase except for his movie, which is his origin story, but you don't really see character development until after the
because
first Avengers movie.
He's already like a good person. As a
Yeah.
person, he's already like a good person. He kept his soul.
Yeah. Like he kept his honest qualities about himself.
Yeah.
definitely. I think that's why they made him like the most serious person in the group. Like he doesn't really have much comic relief in the movies and stuff. Like they always count on him to be like the Rock and bringing everyone together when they're like falling apart. And yeah, I think that has a lot to do with his, how he was brought up in the MCU. Like how you said, like he starts off as a really honest guy and he stays a really honest guy, and always about truth and justice. And I think that's why they made him just like the guy in command.
Mm-hmm. And he's adorable.
He is adorable.
All right, let's talk
He's a total
about.
man. Chris Evans is a total man.
All right, so we kind of talked about Hulk. Do we have anything else to say about Hulk?
I like the
I didn't-
Abomination. Oh. No, you first, sir. You first. You first.
Wait, who?
Go, babe.
You.
Okay, me. Okay. Yeah, I didn't really like the movie that much. I just like the concept of it, but the actual execution I didn't like.
That
It wasn't.
girl.
It was. Oh yeah, no. They have Betty Ross.
Betty pissed me off. She is so
Bruce.
annoying.
Bruce and Betty have no chemistry whatsoever.
That's true. I would have to agree.
She's
Yeah.
so annoying. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
as someone that has done acting before, like I didn't really like see the actors connecting on any level whatsoever. Like it just I there was no chemistry. Like every scene, like I didn't see emotion. I didn't see them really connecting on any level.
No.
There was nothing. It was yeah.
That was Tim Ross, right? The antagonist in that one.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Is that his name? I love him as an actor. I think he's
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah, he did good, but yeah, I really like Abomination in this movie, even though I don't like anything kind of else in this movie.
He was hungry
I
for power. He was
Yeah,
constantly hungry for
exactly.
power.
He's really like that knight that wants to slay the dragon.
Yeah.
You know, like, but
he wants to be that like guy. He there's a, you know what I'm saying? Like I see what you're saying there.
Yeah, he wants to be the dude that takes down the Hulk.
Yeah.
I like when in the
Yeah.
movie when he gets drop kicked into that tree and he just breaks all the bones in his body.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great part.
I like that part. I like that part. But I really wish they dove more into like how being Hulk is affecting Bruce Banner. Like I feel like they went into that with the original Hulk from 2003. They went into that how like he had this dream when he was looking in the mirror and he sees Hulk and then Hulk breaks the mirror and grabs him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That scene used to freak me out, I remember.
Yeah. And it showed like how much of a mental strain Hulk is for him. But in this movie, he spends so much time running away from the military that
Yeah.
you don't get like a character moment with Bruce Banner.
Yeah, they are really different in that way. That's true.
Yeah.
That first movie was way more visceral and like
Mhm.
kind of creepy in a lot of ways. Like
Yeah.
I remember being a little kid when that movie was out and watching it, and like how you said the dream sequence freaked you out. Like that whole movie freaked me out. Like how they had that like that nuke in the desert and like the bomb goes off and like they see it from the diner. It was just so creepy. Like how they did it
Yeah.
and the way it was, the way the shots were composed and everything. There was a lot of there's a lot of bloom in that movie. Like a lot of like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of overexposure
Mhm.
makes it kind of like uneasy to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And uh damn, I forgot what I was gonna say.
I actually, you know what? I do want to point something out though. When we had like us mentioning how, Abomination, he was this character. He wanted to be like that guy that like took down the Hulk. Really, like I was seeing, like I started to notice a lot of the villains really of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They sort of like had this theme throughout each movie where the villain like was power hungry, and they wanted to be that specific identity that did this specific like act or like goal. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they were very power hungry in order to be able to achieve something. Like Loki, for example, he was very power hungry. He wanted all of New York to obey him. Ultron wanted all of control over security, and he wanted to destroy the foundation of really what the Avengers were in terms of being heroes. And like what's another example? Obadiah Stane, he wanted Stark Industries. He wanted to take over Stark Industries and make it his own company. And yeah, I just thought that was really interesting how that became like a theme for villains throughout each movie. And yeah.
Nice.
They just get more and
Yeah.
more powerful as the movies go on.
Yeah. But like that's
Mhm.
the thing though, like it's a very good theme and it worked so well for each movie, and in the way that they structured major story arcs, like the phases themselves. But like there were very few villains that were very strong, not characters as villains, but just as characters, like as people. Like there were very few villains where you could connect with them. And honestly, like if we're just going to start with phase one, like Loki, I think was one character, like he was the first good villain that you could connect with, really. I thought, because you saw how
I
he felt
agree.
like he was
I agree.
overshadowed by Thor, really. Like you saw in the first, like when Mike mentioned how the first Thor movie was really well put together, um and that's his favorite. Like one thing that the first Thor movie perfectly established, was that Loki was like, he always felt like he was in the shadow of Thor. Like that was something, that was a very strong emotional like idea that that you saw Loki dealing with for a long time. Like you saw him always feeling overshadowed in Thor. He wanted to take over Asgard. He wanted all of that power. And then you saw him seeing how his brother was becoming, his brother was the king, and he always felt that he was in Thor's shadow, and you saw that play out throughout later films.
hmm So I have like little to none comic book knowledge. I don't know about you guys, but I'm wondering if they had Loki and Thor end up working together in the comics, because I like how they did that in the movies.
I think they have done that in the comics, like maybe on like occasions, but like
Mm.
I mean, I never really read a lot of the comics, like the Thor comics when I was younger, but I mean, to my knowledge, I mean, I'd say that they have worked together on occasions, but I think he was always written more as like a villain.
hmm
But they probably have written like stories where they have really like crossed over that idea a lot. or
Yeah.
like having them work together, having them come to terms with being brothers and being raised by Odin. Like I think they covered a lot of like, you know, deep stuff like that too.
Yeah, I love their dynamic when
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
on the same side. Like when they're on the
Yeah.
same team, I feel like they work so much better as characters.
Yeah.
Like you said, like he's overshadowed by Thor in such a big way, but at the same time, he did have some of the best character development as far as antagonists go in the earlier movies, because he had a
Yeah.
lot more he had a lot more screen time. First of all,
Yeah.
like Obadiah
Yeah.
Stane is like he's not in too much of the movie, you know,
No,
just like mostly
it
the end
it was
part.
mostly an Iron Man movie.
Hmm.
Yeah.
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 And yeah, and then Loki is like, you know, you go into his childhood and his origin and all that stuff, and yeah, it really makes him a much more solid character.
Yeah, it makes him more relatable. I think he's one of the most relatable villains out of Phase 1,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Yeah. He
Yep.
is the most relatable villain.
And could we just point out that, I mean, Phase 1 really was, specifically, I shouldn't be saying especially, but yes, specifically, Iron Man 1 was the start of the post-credits scenes that we have all come to know and love
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
superhero movies. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there have been post-credit scenes from earlier movies, like Ferris Bueller, really, I think is one of the first ever, like, actual, like, post-credit scenes. It's a
Mhm.
famous post-credit scene, but, you know, Tony Stark walking into his living room, sees Nick Fury, and like the audience is left with like a black screen, just like, wait, what? Like that, like the idea that it's setting up something, like it really became a milestone in movies like being released.
Yeah, like I
Because then,
don't think any movies really had such a extensive um like setup as before the Avengers. Like I don't think there was any series that did it like the Avengers did. Um,
it
I
was
like
never like a movie franchise like that tried to build up something like that until that at that point.
and definitely not
Yeah.
this many movies. Like
No,
there's so many at this point, and yeah, they were really like the first of their kind to do a lot of stuff.
but that's
Fun,
also like
fun fact.
10 years ago now. Yeah.
Fun fact.
fact.
Sorry, there was like a screen testing of Nick Fury, of that same post-credit scene where Nick Fury mentions Spider-Man and the X-Men.
Oh
Really?
wow.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
So if
Okay.
everything worked out perfectly as they intended, maybe Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and the X-Men would have already been in
Like a part of it.
yeah,
Imagine
which
the
would have been
X-Men. Imagine adding the
way
X-Men into
better.
the mix. Like you have the Avengers, the X-Men, and the Guardians of the Galaxy all working together. That would be.
That'd be intense.
They could never lose. They could just never lose.
No.
No.
Thanos who? Like he'd be dead. Okay.
It's a little OP at that point.
Let's talk about Hawkeye because we didn't mention him at all.
Who's that? Never heard of him. Did he have his own movie? No.
What does
He's
he
gonna
do?
get his own TV show. He's gonna get his own TV show. Don't sleep on Hawkeye.
Yeah, but what's the show even gonna be about? Like
Hawkeye and Kate Bishop.
Right, but like what? He's just gonna shoot arrows at people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. What is
I
an
mean,
Iron
it'll
Man
probably
movie
be
about? He's just gonna blast people.
Yeah, but it's Iron Man.
well
Like,
with
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye. They can make some like dramatic elements and have him get a pet hawk. I guess I don't know. Like just like name the hawk. I don't know.
He has a dog.
Arrow. Name the hawk Arrow. Just name the hawk Arrow and send it to do something on a
you
mission.
can name the Hawk Jeremy Renner.
Yeah. No wait. Name the hawk. Yeah. Name the hawk Jeremy Renner. Like, hey Jeremy, go let's go. Like,
No, I'm like just being an asshole, but I actually I like him as a character a lot. He's really I like his little funny moments in the Avengers movies, like
Oh yeah.
like in Age of Ultron when when he's like in the house with Scarlet Witch and he's like trying to like hype her up to get out there and he's like, I just have a bow and arrow, man. Like I don't know what I'm doing.
I died when I watched that. Oh my god.
But yeah, Phase 1.
Yeah, Phase.
Well,
Yeah.
we could talk about Black Widow too.
Ooh, we can definitely talk about Black Widow.
Oh yeah, we could talk about Black Widow.
Oh
Do you
yeah.
want to talk about Black Widow?
So
James?
like
I'd
red
like to talk
hair,
about
red
Black
hair or
Widow.
blonde?
Come on, red hair Black Widow is the best Black Widow.
Yeah, 100%.
Like
Yeah.
I specifically like I loved her look in Winter Soldier when she had the hair down, but I just really think they created their own original classic Black Widow look really with her with the curly hair from Avengers 1 and 2. I just think like it's just such a more recognizable like
Yeah,
Black Widow.
it's very recognizable. Yeah, I
Especially
agree.
because it plays off the comics version of her, but it does their own spin with her because you know Scarlett Johansson is known for her hair just being like that, so they kind of did their own thing like that. And yeah, I just love her with the curly red hair. Like it's perfect, and
Me too.
she's a perfect actress for the role too. Scarlett Johansson is the best actress I think to ever play Black Widow because they were going to consider Emily Blunt. They're going to consider
Not a bad choice.
No.
that wouldn't have been a bad choice either. But I just think Scarlett Johansson, like she sinks into the role much better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's great. Wasn't she
Yeah,
supposed
I
to get a
agree.
movie?
Yeah.
Yes. And then Corona happened.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was gonna get released like by May 2020. By May 2020 it would have been out now, but Phase 1.
Yeah, like in Phase 1, Black Widow, she you know she was just that character really that you know she was one of the top agents of shield. She you know she was strong, she was tough, but like you never really delved deeper into her, you know, her story until, you know, Avengers. Like I mean we saw her in Iron Man 2, which was the only movie we saw her in and until Avengers. But like Phase 1 really wasn't like Phase 1 never really delved deep into her story. It just gave hints because we saw the scenes with Loki where, you know, like he would tease her of her past. There would be hints that Black Widow was dealing with a lot of past trauma. And then, like, that was pretty much opening up to what was going to be, you know, looked at more in Phase 2, where then, like, in the Winter Soldier, she had a past with you know, coming across the Winter Soldier and just how different parts of her training and what she went through would be explored further in Avengers: Age of Ultron, and then we sort of try to have a relationship with Bruce Banner and so on. But like I think, yeah, Phase 1 really it showed her as just like a very like mysterious character. Like it didn't go into depth in knowing her more until Phase 2 really.
Yeah, I really think they pulled that off really, really well in Iron Man 2, which is one of the few things they pulled off well in that movie. Like how she's like her name was Natalia. She was going undercover as Natalia.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they switched that on us, like, and then all of a sudden, oh, that's Natasha Romanoff. Oh shit, she's the Black Widow. And then you see her do all those crazy stunts, like beating everyone up. Like it really hooked fans with the Black Widow character. I think they did that really well.
Yeah, she had a great introduction.
Yeah, I love that fight scene.
Pretty
Yeah.
badass.
Nice. All right, so now let's talk about our favorite movies in Phase 1. So what's your favorite if you had to pick one? Babe, what's
Go ahead,
your
Mike.
favorite?
What's your favorite? You asked the question. Answer
You
your
first,
question.
Nicole.
Well, it's obviously
first.
Captain America, so.
Why is it your favorite? Is it just because of
Why?
Chris Evans?
Okay, so it's not just because of Chris Evans. I just love everything about Captain America. So I love the time era. I love how it's been like shot and all this stuff. I love how he was like introduced and like how he found his way into war by putting on a performance, and that's how he got his outfit, and that's how he was created, and all this stuff. So I love that movie.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It really is.
What's your favorite if you had to pick one, Tino?
Man, probably Iron Man. Like it's just who doesn't think that movie is just totally badass? Like it's incredible.
Oh yeah.
I love when I love when he comes out of the cave in that first suit and he's just like a tank and everyone's like, "Oh shit. Like what do we do?" And he just like decimates everyone. Like it's just such a good there's a lot of really good scenes in that movie, and it's mostly practical too, which is something that they changed as the movies went on. But besides like the suit and him flying around and stuff, it was a lot of practical effects in that movie.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
I really appreciate that about that movie. What's
What
your
about you, Mike?
favorite movie, Jake? Oh, me. Okay.
Or Jake?
Or Jake, you
You
could go.
first,
Jake,
Mike.
you could go. You could go.
Okay. Well, it's really tough. I mean, I really love, every movie of Phase One because, they're just so unique looking back. But I'd have to say, really, it's hard to choose between, for me, the first Iron Man and the first Avengers. I just think those two are,
Mhm.
they're so amazing. But I think really it would have to be the first Iron Man too. Like I agree with Tino. Like it's so badass. It's so original. The direction is amazing. Robert Downey Jr. was born for that role, and it became a milestone really in superhero movies. Like the first Iron Man movie started it all, and it's just a milestone itself.
And it still holds up really well. Like
Yeah.
I watch it now and it's still freaking perfect. Like even the whole thing with him making the suit, like the whole sequence of him actually
Yeah.
putting it together, like that's like an unforgettable movie sequence.
It really is. I remember like like I would try to like pretend to feel like that, like making the suit. And what I would do is I would take aluminum foil. Like I would take all the aluminum foil out of the kitchen cabinet, and I would like sculpt the helmet around my head, and I would poke the holes out, and like I would like take like a spoon and pretend that I was hammering down everything,
Oh my
like to make it rounded. And I felt so good about it, even though it was just a crappy plastic aluminum foil looking helmet.
Hey man,
Aw.
one day you might be able to get an Iron Man suit.
All right.
Follow-up question: how much
Oh,
trouble
why?
did you get into after doing that?
Oh, none. They just bought me more aluminum foil because they knew I was going to want to do it.
Aw.
That's
Bubba's,
cute.
what's yours?
I mean, my mom was just pissed at first because she spent, $20 on like aluminum foil in a day at one point, trying to just, let me play around with it.
Damn.
So I didn't have to bother her.
Damn. That's very expensive aluminum foil. My favorite movie out of Phase One would have to be Iron Man. It easily could have been Avengers. But why it's not Avengers is because, first of all, the cinematography is shit. It looks like a TV show. It looks like a CW TV show. I hate it. I hate the cinematography in
I love
that.
how you
Also,
have to add CW in there.
Yeah, it does though. He's right.
It
Like,
does. It does. Captain America suit, terrible. Terrible. I
it
hate
looked
it.
like pajamas.
Thank you. And
His ass
it
look good though.
the fact
It's true.
yeah the fact that it's Loki was the main villain. It could have been a Thor movie. Like the entire Avengers didn't have to get involved in it. It could have been just a Thor movie since Loki is the one involved with Thor.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
He's not related to any other Avengers. But that's my only complaint from that movie. So yeah, Iron Man.
But it really made Loki a stronger villain, though. I feel like it really set him as like a strong villain.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's even like a
Yeah.
huge the way that they tied in the I forget the name of the cube. The blue cube
Oh,
that everyone's after.
Tesseract.
Yeah, the Tesseract.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they made that an Infinity Stone. Like, I was like, whoa, that's such like a far reach back to the Avenger movie. Like,
Yeah.
that's so sick how they tied it together like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked
Yeah.
how they I mean, I really liked too how the first Avengers movie, like, it really like planted that seed of, this being the Infinity Saga. Like, I
Mhm.
like how, you know, they didn't want to let us know that the Tesseract was the Space Stone until later on. Like, we pretty much knew all along, just we also didn't know. Like, is
Yeah.
like what it pretty much boils down to. And that post-credit scene with Thanos, even though it wasn't Josh Brolin at the time, but thank God it was Josh Brolin because he's perfect as Thanos. But yeah, like you see him just turn his head, like, and you see his menacing face, and that was the start of it, really, the Infinity Saga. And then it made people want to just look forward more and more to seeing more of the Infinity Stones,
And we got him.
and
Oh
we got
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Um, so what would you rate all of them, starting from the first
You
one?
didn't say. Wait. What about your
What?
least favorite?
Hmm.
I was getting to that, but okay. What's your least favorite? I
What do you,
know
yeah.
yours, Bubba. Mike's is
It
Iron
would.
Man 2.
Yeah, I would have to say Iron Man 2 because the only thing I remember from that movie is the Whiplash fight scene, the Rhodey versus Iron Man
Yeah,
fight scene, and the final fight scene. Pretty much the fight scenes.
yeah, and they
That's it.
switched out
And
the actors for Rhodes.
yeah,
yeah, the actors.
Like no one would notice.
no, he just got a 10.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Yeah. But yeah, it's a very forgettable movie. Apart from the action.
Yeah. Mine is Hulk. Because,
Why? Okay.
okay, Betty pissed me off. She ruined the whole thing for me, man. I'm not gonna lie. She pissed me off. She was too annoying. Uh-oh. We're running out of time again.
10
But
minutes.
yeah, I don't know. It really didn't like hit it for me. I didn't like how, like we said, like it wasn't really like the others. I didn't like it. But
Mhm.
yeah. So what's yours? Do you know?
I don't really know. Like, I'm trying to think right now. I like them all like a lot. I don't really remember the first Thor movie too much. Um, I know I liked it, but I can't really remember too much of it. So maybe just because of that, it would be my least favorite. But I still like it. Just in comparison to the others, it's probably my least favorite.
Okay. Jacob.
I really like all of them. I don't know which one I could possibly say. I just I grew up with the first phase. Like, they're just burned into my brain so differently, I feel, than the other movies. Like, I'd have to say my least favorite, though, would have to be probably either Iron Man 2 or Thor. I just feel that those two are the weakest of the first phase movies. Like, I like the first Thor, but I feel like in terms of like build up, it wasn't as strong. So I would say that those two are, yeah,
Okie dokie. And
that I got to choose from.
should we go through all of them and rate them?
Like 1 out of
If
10.
you wanna.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So you guys just call out. I'm gonna name them. All right. So what would you rate Iron Man?
It's a 10 for me. It's a
10?
great movie.
8.5.
9 for you,
Oh,
Bubba?
I'm saying 9. Yeah.
Jacob, what
Eight.
would you? 8?
8.5.
I would rate it a 9.
Wow, I guess I'm generous.
Hulk?
Yeah.
Mine's a 6.
6.
I would say a 6.
6. Yeah.
6? All right.
Everyone 6 all around.
Iron Man 2.
7.
6.
I'll give it a
7.
7. 7. Thor?
No, I'll go 5. No, sorry, Iron Man 2, 5. I'm saying 5
5.
because I really don't remember
It's
anything.
just
from it.
just average, down the middle.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember a lot of exposition.
Oh yeah, nobody likes that.
No. Yeah. Sorry.
Thor.
9.
Give it a 7.
Oh wow.
Actually, no, I'd give that an
9.
8. I'd give Thor an 8. I like Thor. I thought its story really, I think, did drive it. I mean, Chris Hemsworth's portrayal really just drove that whole movie.
I would give it an 8.
Yeah, like I said, I don't remember too much, but I know I
I
liked
give
it.
it an 8.
So yeah, 7 or 8.
Captain America 10.
I'd give it an 8.
That's a 9. That's a solid 9.
Bubba's
8.
8.
I'm going 8.
And Avengers.
Yeah.
10.
I'll give it a 9.
What?
8.
I would
8.
also say 8.
You know what?
8?
I'd have to be honest. Like, 10 does feel exaggerated. If I had to be completely honest, I'd have to give it another 8.5.
Okay,
Like,
that's
it's
fair.
not a perfect
Mhm.
movie, but it stands very well. It stands very well.
It was so hype, like the way, like it's been set up for years at this point, and now we're finally getting the
Yeah.
Avengers, and like everyone was waiting for that. So
Yeah.
just so exciting.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all we have. Yeah, we got
Stuff.
everything. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
fun times. I'm
fun
probably gonna watch one tonight just from talking about it so much.
No,
Yeah.
I wanted to. But all right, let me do the outro. So thank you guys for watching and tuning into the podcast. We have Jacob and Tino here and also Mike. Yeah. So stay tuned for next Thursday with another movie review. We might be doing phase 2.
Sweet.
And if you guys want to come
Awesome.
back, you can. So yeah, see you guys later.
Love to.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, bye guys.
Bye bye.